Coming up on Valley View News, Angelenos celebrate their first Indigenous Peoples Day. Plus, CSUN students voice their opinions on Executive Order 1100. And the box office breaks another record this week.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Brian Bruman.
And I'm Sammy Shakta.
The Senate confirmed Brett Kavanaugh as the next Supreme Court Justice after a 51-48 vote in favor of his becoming the 114th Associate Justice. The vote came after weeks of political and human drama as Kavanaugh defended himself against accusations of sexual misconduct. Controversy increased after Senator Susan Collins said that despite the allegations, she would vote yes for Kavanaugh. Many were not happy with her response. People protested Collins' decision at the Portland airport. Kavanaugh begins his term on the Supreme Court this coming week.
Meanwhile, Los Angeles County is investigating whether the Sheriff's Department racially profiled certain people driving on the 5 freeway. A Los Angeles Times investigation found that 70% of drivers pulled over were Latino. 2/3 of them also had their cars checked for drugs. The searches happened between 2012 and 2017. Sheriff Jim McDonnell says he looks forward to working with the inspector to examine racial profiling allegations.
The city and county of LA are working to help unsheltered Angelenos find permanent homes. Valley View News reporter Melanie Rosales tells us more.
Los Angeles opened up their first emergency bridge housing program in the El Pueblo area. This falls under Mayor Garcetti's A Bridge Home initiative to shelter the homeless. The nonprofit operator, The People Concerned, have provided resources they need to get back on their feet.
And we need to build more housing. But while we're waiting for that housing to be built, it's also important to take care of people who are living on the streets currently.
Tent cities stretch all over LA County, leaving the homeless population exposed to diseases and lack of safety.
You have to be streetwise to live in the street. If you don't got streetwise, you won't last in the street. It's like living in the jungle.
The Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority searches for the residents to stay in the home. Director of Communications Tom Waldman says he sees more people stepping in to help the cause.
These are people they've known, that they've built relationships of trust with, who are experiencing homelessness.
These residents are getting a second chance at a fresh start.
I finally found a program that came to me and they asked me, am I willing to go into a program? And I told them, yeah, that I'm accepting anything. So God opened doors for me.
The Bridge Home is currently housing 45 residents and are expected to find permanent housing in the next coming year. In Los Angeles, I'm Melanie Rosales, Valley View News.
There's plenty of hard work done behind the scenes in sports. Hard work that many people don't know about. Valley View News' Caitlin Von Meter visited one of those behind-the-scenes workers at CSUN Athletics.
A normal day for Izzy Gold starts at 4:30 a.m. and ends at 12 a.m. He allowed us to spend the day with him. Working as the equipment manager for a D1 athletic program comes with great responsibility. With Izzy entering his 19th season here at CSUN, another year awaits for many bins to be filled. Having to keep track of 19 D1 sport teams, Izzy Gold is the busy man behind the counter who is in charge of making sure CSUN athletic teams are prepared to play. CSUN has been gold money and has struck gold with Izzy Gold.
Doing laundry, setting up locker rooms, daily wash, returning the wash to the locker rooms, working basically, I would say just going nonstop, being on your feet constantly.
Izzy has helped in keeping 19 teams outfitted. One worker, Destiny Villegas, shares her experience with helping in the laundry room.
So we come in, we start with the shower towels, we wash them, we fold them, then we do the loops, which is the athlete's practice gear. We help package the stuff, put it away in the room, and basically anything Izzy needs, we help.
An athlete who greatly appreciates the laundry king is CSUN women's softball player, Savannah Horvath.
Thank you, Izzy.
He takes care of our laundry, he does our uniforms, makes sure he has them back in our lockers, hung up, folded, everything that we can ask for before game day. But he just really has a heart of gold and he really does work hard.
Any athlete would agree Izzy is irreplaceable. Many hours of preparation goes into preparing the teams for competition. But Izzy doesn't mind the hard work because he loves each player.
Thank you, Izzy.
In the meantime, Izzy will continue to take the sweat out of athletics. I'm Caitlin Von Meter in Northridge for Valley View News.
A CSU executive order could change general education requirements in coming years. Some cultural studies courses may be eliminated. CSUN students were invited to a conversation with the chancellor of the CSU system and CSUN's president. Students and administrators hope to exchange information. Here's my report on what really happened. Student activists organized outside the event. Then they stormed their way past event staff at the door. They set up a demonstration inside the building. They passed out lists of demands and chanted slogans. When the administrators appeared on stage, there were loud cries from students who wanted to speak first.
Right now, I would like to invite you all to come to the microphone and speak.
We want to make it clear that today's visit was made possible by the mobilization of the students at CSUN. All the ethnic studies departments and students that protested at CSUN.
Then suddenly, before any response, dozens of students rose up as a group and headed for the doors. These students, who had been waiting the longest, would not wait to hear any explanations about the executive orders or plans for the future. They walked out, taking any real chance at a dialogue with them. The executive orders proposed by CSU Chancellor Timothy White and CSUN President Diane Harrison continue to grow resentment in students of cultural studies.
There's no data to back any of this up. There's been no faculty governance, to make these decisions. This is all implemented by the chancellor and by the president on their own accord. And where's the democracy in that?
But there definitely needs to be more transparency with the administrators and students. We do know what's going on. We want to be more in control of our education. We pay so much, there's no reason why we shouldn't have a say in what it is that we're learning.
Some students did still speak after the walkout. Administrators sat and listened on stage. The chancellor and president said a few words, but by that time it was clear that any real communication had fallen apart. We sat down with President Diane Harrison and Interim Vice Provost Matthew Kahn to talk about what went wrong in the meeting.
What's your general reaction, your feelings to what happened yesterday?
It was what I heard was a great deal of frustration and anger and some fear. I think what I regret is that we weren't able to have a dialogue to kind of go over what some of the possible options or models that some of the faculty have proposed.
So we're aware that we haven't been communicating as effectively with students as we want to be. The provost will be meeting with students who'd like to come in small groupings to have a conversation around what the executive order is, what we might be able to do in order to ensure that we do not reroute enrollment from these important programs and these important departments.
This level of, I don't want to say chaos, but this level of
vitriol
and breakdown in orderly discussion, was this something that you were unprepared for?
I'm not ignorant. I understood that there was a lot of anger and frustration pent up. I expected that there would be a number of students who weren't happy there. Did I have more optimistic wishes for the kind of dialogue that we might have had? Yes. What it says to me is that we need to do a different job of communicating with our students, with these students in particular, because with other student groups who I've met with about either the executive orders or something else, it's much more effective. I find that when people are screaming, it makes it hard to hear.
For now, the CSUN website seems like the only place to get reliable information on the status of the executive orders. Concerned students will be watching for news from the administration.
SpaceX launched its Falcon 9 rocket last week, leaving an amazing light show for many Angelinos. The rocket sent a new satellite into space from Vandenberg Air Force Base. That's just 160 miles northwest of LA. Many took to Twitter to share the amazing sights in the evening sky. Mayor Garcetti used Twitter to reassure people that the light show wasn't from aliens. Rather, it was just from Elon Musk. This marked one of the first launches of its kind, with a rocket actually landing back to Earth.
Today we celebrate the first Indigenous Peoples Day in Los Angeles. Here's Chris Farias with more on the festival.
City Hall voted to eliminate Columbus Day last year and instead voted to shine light on Indigenous communities in Los Angeles. Chase Francis is indigenous and says why eliminating the Columbus Day holiday is the right thing to do.
I think it's correct because, I mean, Columbus never actually came here. He was down in the Caribbean, and they were here first anyways.
Yes, I can be myself.
Connie Fast Horse Norris says her identity was something she was not proud of when she was growing up. Now her feeling towards her identity has changed.
I can wear my Nate ribbon skirt, you know, and feel welcome because I'm not the only one, you know, and there's a whole community.
LA is the biggest city in the States to celebrate something like this. For Valley View News, I'm Chris Farias.
It's time now for entertainment news. Daria, what's going on at the box office?
The Venom is killing it in the box office. That's what's happening. The new Marvel film, Venom, is dominating the box office. Warner Brothers' A Star is Born ranked second, reaching $40 million during opening weekend. Sony's release of Venom ranked first in 57 out of 58 markets, earning $80 million in the first few days. Studio producers say this superhero title tops Wonder Woman, Ant-Man, The Wasp, and Logan. Globally, Venom reached an estimate of $125.2 million. Taylor Swift broke her hands-off approach to politics with a rare political statement. The singer posted a lengthy Instagram message regarding the Senate race in her home state, Tennessee. Swift says she'll always vote for the candidate who protects and fights for human rights. She is a supporter of the LGBTQ community and opposes discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender. She's critical of Marsha Blackburn, who is running for Senate in Tennessee. Swift said she's voted for women in the past and would like to in the future, but she said she can't support Marsha Blackburn. She said Blackburn's voting record in Congress, quote, appalls and terrifies me. Swift then goes on to list what Blackburn has voted against. This list includes voting against equality for women, gay couples, and other social issues. Swift advised her younger fans to educate themselves about candidates running in their states. Meghan McCain returned to co-host The View for the first time since her father, Senator John McCain, died. She thanked ABC and her co-stars for their support.
Inspired that the ideals that my father espoused through his career are the ideals of America. And I think there was a lot of talk about what died with him. And I am here today to tell you, it didn't. It is alive.
She says she has only seen the best of America since her father's passing 6 weeks ago. Fans fled Lil Wayne's concert at the 14th annual A3C Festival and Conference in Atlanta. He was a few songs into his set before the crowd dispersed in panic from the Georgia Fright Depot. Police officer Jarius Daughtry said someone in the crowd was yelling that gunshots were fired. There is no evidence of any gunshots at the venue. Organizers say they're still working on collecting information and details of this altercation. That's your entertainment news. I'm Daria Hariri.
More to come on Valley View News. Romania failed to ban same-sex marriage due to a low voter turnout.
And our sports reporter Brandon Benitez will give us a recap of the NFL. We'll be back after the break.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
You're on your boat. Your engines are dead. You're starting to sink, and you can't get a cell phone signal. Thankfully, you have a Marine VHF radio on board tuned to Channel 16. The Coast Guard and other boaters monitor distress calls on Channel 16. A radio is the best way to call for help. Don't assume a cell phone will work. Communication is your lifeline. Be sure you're heard.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I thought I had it under control. I didn't know it'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
I came to CSUN to learn. I came to CSUN to grow. I came to CSUN to prepare. I learned to question, to answer, to encourage. I grew as a mentor, an ally, an advocate. I left CSUN prepared to uplift and embolden, prepared to challenge and inspire, prepared to teach.
I'm Rebecca Milwaukee, and I'm a Matador.
CSUN's campus newspaper, the Sundial, has been working hard on so many stories.
For a preview into the next issue, here's the Sundial's editor-in-chief, Enrie Garcia.
Thanks, Sammy and Brian. Last week, the Sundial published 2 stories. One story was on student protesters giving the list of demands to the CSU Chancellor about Executive Order 1100R before they walked out. Another story we have is from our sports edition. It's a story about a student who goes through challenges in his journey as he attempts to join the basketball team this semester. And that's all from us here at the Sundial. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Augustine. There's a lot going on around the globe. Catherine Molina brings us international news from our Digital Media Center.
Thanks, Brian. China's foreign minister accused the United States of interfering in its internal affairs. Wang Yi criticized the Trump administration, saying the president increased trade tensions. Yi said Trump has hurt relations between the U.S. and China. The foreign minister also wants the U.S. to stop selling arms to Taiwan. Romania's vote to ban same-sex marriage failed due to low voter turnout. Only 21% of voters supported the ban. The bill needed 30% to pass. The vote began after a petition was signed by nearly 3 million Romanians. In 2001, Romania decriminalized homosexuality, but still doesn't allow same-sex marriage. An oil refinery explosion rocked St. John in New Brunswick, Canada. Irving Oil was on fire after the blast. Most of the city's east side was covered with black smoke. 4 workers were treated for minor injuries. All workers on site were accounted for. In the meantime, the St. John Emergency Services said the fire is under control. Providences in Honduras are under alert after heavy rains. At least 6 dead and 7,000 displaced due to the heavy flooding. Hundreds were forced to flee their homes. Hurricane Michael caused the heavy rains. As Michael gains strength, it will hit Florida. That's all for international news. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Catherine. Now it's time for sports with Brandon Benitez. What's going on, Brandon?
A lot's happened, Sammy. Both of LA's teams played against their division rivals this weekend. The Rams traveled to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. It's a tie game in the third quarter. Quarterback Russell Wilson scrambles out of the pocket and throws a strike to David Moore in the back of the end zone. Seahawks go up by 7. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, running back Todd Gurley rushes in for a touchdown. That's his 3rd one in the game and 9th this season. In the final minutes, the Rams have a chance to seal the game on 4th down. Quarterback Jared Goff decides to take the game into his own hands. He sneaks the ball through and secures the 1st down. Rams stay undefeated and win a thriller, 33-31. Shifting over to the AFC, the Chargers face off against the Raiders. Second quarter, Phillip Rivers checks it down to Austin Eckler, who finds some space, jukes 2 defenders, then takes it to the house for a 44-yard touchdown. Chargers lead 10-3. They came into this matchup giving up the 4th most points per game on the defensive side. They changed that today in the turnover battle. Derek Carr zips the ball to Martavis Bryant, who then fumbles. The Chargers recover, and they never look back. They finish scoring 16 unanswered points. LA wins comfortably 26-10. The Chargers still trail the Kansas City Chiefs, who, along with the Rams, are the last 2 undefeated teams left. The Dodgers face the Atlanta Braves in Game 3 of the National League Division Series. Dodgers enter the 3rd inning down 5-0. Third baseman Justin Turner drives a base hit down left field. The 33-year-old veteran leads the team in hits this series. An error from Braves rookie Ronald Acuna Jr. gave the Dodgers another added run. Braves up 5-2. 2 innings later, center fielder Chris Taylor closes the lead even further with a 2-run home run. This was Taylor's first home run of the postseason. Braves' lead is now down to 1. First baseman Max Muncy then hits a solo home run which ties the game. That's Muncy's second home run of the postseason. The 28-year-old continues being a trusted bat for LA. Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman breaks the tie in the 6th inning with a solo home run. The Dodgers came close but come up short. Braves win 6-5 to avoid the sweep. The Dodgers can close this best-of-5 series with a win. The Dodgers still hold the 2-1 lead. A brawl broke out following the UFC lightweight title defense between Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and their camps. Both fighters fought spectators inside and outside the octagon. UFC Commissioner Dana White.
Been doing this for 18 years, and the biggest night ever, and I couldn't be more disappointed. You know me, I'm usually mad at everything, but I'm not even mad. I'm just really disappointed.
The Los Angeles Kings face off against the Detroit Red Wings at the Staples Center. The Kings and the Red Wings are tied 1 apiece near the end of the second period. LA breaks the tie when Kings forward Tyler Toffoli assists Kings defender Paul LeDoux. LeDoux fakes the pass and scores. Later in the third, Detroit turns the puck over and the Kings make them pay for it. Ilya Kovalchuk takes the puck and swings it to Alex Iafallo. The second-year forward buries it to put the Kings up by 1. Kovalchuk ended the night with 2 assists. 3 is all they needed as the Kings finished beating the Red Wings 4-2. LA heads to Canada Tuesday for a 4-game road trip. All 4 games will be against teams north of the border. Brian and Sammy, back to you guys.
Thanks, Brandon. Coming up on Valley View News, Hurricane Michael picks up speed as it approaches Florida.
Also, the FDA approves a new vaccine. Stay with us.
I'm Rudy Tempesta. I'm 92 years old. I fought in World War II. Then I came home, worked for the post office for 70 years. I've been getting Meals on Wheels, and I enjoy it. The most important thing about Meals on Wheels is you meet the people, which to me is fantastic. You need people to keep your brain moving. That's what life is about. It's love and having a conversation with people.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
I came to CSUN to learn. I came to CSUN to grow. I came to CSUN to prepare. I learned to ask, to analyze, to communicate. I grew as a writer, a thinker, a citizen. I left CSUN prepared to participate, prepared to contribute, prepared to lead.
Aloha, I'm Linda Lingle, and I'm a Matador.
Ryan Lochte, an Olympic gold medalist, is going to receive treatment for alcohol addiction after a hotel disturbance. The police in Newport Beach were called after he tried to kick down his hotel room door while intoxicated. His agent says the incident was minor, and what matters is that Lochte is getting the help he needs. He also says Lochte has been battling with his alcohol addiction for several years.
Michael is expected to hit Florida after ripping through Cuba as a Category 1 hurricane. By the time Michael reaches Florida, it's expected to be a Category 3 with 120-mile-per-hour winds. Florida Governor Rick Scott issued a state of emergency for 26 different counties. Hurricane Michael could be the first Category 3 hurricane or higher since Hurricane Dennis hit Florida in 2005.
Tesla's Model 3 sedan is now the best-selling luxury car in the U.S., and a new HPV vaccine has been released for adults.
Here's Isabel Ochoa with social media, tech, and health news.
Thanks, guys. Whether a child uses soap or hand sanitizer determines how much school they'll miss. The journal Pediatrics reports on Spanish researchers who discovered that kids who cleaned their hands with sanitizer instead of soap had less school absences. Those children also had fewer respiratory infections and prescriptions on antibiotics. Children using soap had a higher risk of respiratory infections, congestion, and coughing. One doctor says he thinks these results support the notion that you can reduce the spread of respiratory tract infections in kids if you use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Minnesota health officials say 6 children there have been diagnosed with a rare polio-like disease. The disease is known as acute flaccid myelitis, also known as AFM. AFM affects the spinal cord and can cause paralysis. All the children are under 10 years old. AFM can develop from a viral infection, but the exact cause is not known. Some of these symptoms include limb weakness, facial drooping, and trouble swallowing. Doctors focus on alleviating symptoms, but unfortunately, there's no vaccine for AFM. The CDC counted 362 cases of AFM since August. The Tesla Model 3 is now the best-selling luxury car in the U.S. This is because the Model 3 is labeled as a mass-market car, not a luxury car. It has a cheaper price tag of $35,000 instead of the typical 6 figures. The car's standard battery is why the price is cheaper. All current Model 3s that have long-range batteries are $49,000. However, the specific battery won't be available for the next 3 to 6 months. In order to increase profits, Tesla prefers to call the Model 3 as a premium sedan instead of a luxury model. The FDA approved a human papillomavirus vaccine for adults. The vaccine, called Gardasil 9, is directed for men and women between the ages of 27 and 45. The FDA says the vaccine presents an opportunity to help prevent HPV-related diseases and cancers. The CDC says an estimated 80 million Americans are infected with some form of HPV. They also say HPV infections are so common that nearly all men and women will get at least one type of HPV infection at some point in their lives. That's it for my segment. Brian and Sammy, back to you.
A Minnesota teen revived a squirrel using CPR after hitting it with his car. The young driver says he was just doing the right thing.
You know, you never get to see this, so I was there trying to help it out, you know. Something little means a lot in the long run.
Police officers approached the teen as he was trying his best to save the squirrel with chest compressions. When the officers realized what was really going on, they stayed until the squirrel ran back to his home.
That's all for us at Valley View News. Thank you for watching. I'm Brian Berumen.
And I'm Sammy Shakta. For news any time of the day, go to our website, sundial.csun.edu. See you next week.